ever wondered who owned all the land before the Newhalls got a hold of it? Well, the Valle family owned it all, actually. They had a rancho that extended from Piru on the west to Golden Triangle and Soledad Canyon roads on the east, the Santa Clara Divide on the south, up to Castaic on the north. Today we're going to visit a place called Rancho Camulos, which was the home of the DeValliers. Hello, my name is Philip Scorza, and I would like to welcome you to our show, Points of Interest. Well, I think this place would make a terrific croquet course. We're here in front of the old rancho here. Ann, why don't you come on in here? I'd like to introduce Ann Reinders. Did I get that right?
Reinders, yes, that's correct.
Ann is the lady whose family now owns Rancho Camulos.
That's correct.
Right?
Yes.
This is a terrific place. Tell us a little bit about this. You were telling me earlier, your family bought this property when, in 1924?
1924. My grandfather had come out from the East Coast with his inheritance. And there's a story that happened in this area before that time, but he bought it in 1924 from the Valle family, and fully aware of the historical significance of this place and really making great effort to preserve it.
I'm just curious,
And
which DeVallier sold it to your grandfather here?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. It wasn't Ignacio, though.
No, Ignacio died in the 1870s.
Okay.
And so it was probably one of his sons. There was two of them, in particular. Ulpiano was one, and the name escapes me. But it was probably one of those two sons.
So your what, great-grandfather, right, or great-grandfather?
No, grandfather.
Grandfather bought the property for oranges, and obviously wanted to go into business for himself then.
There was no oranges on Camulos at the time that he bought it. He was one of the ones who brought citrus. Sunkist was already operating in this valley, and so he wasn't one of the first citrus farms, but he definitely brought Camulos up to industry standard and above at the time. So he probably planted more than 600 acres of citrus here.
Great, great. Tell us a little bit about the house, this portion here behind us over here.
This part of the house, from the top gable there over to the corner, was built in the mid-1850s, starting in about 1853. And the family, the Del Valle family, just used it as a kind of a retreat from the city. They were living in Los Angeles at the time, and it was just their country house, more or less.
Now the DeValliers, they got the property from what, the governor of Spain or New
Antonio Del Valle was given 40 square miles, basically, of land that was the pasture land for the San Fernando mission.
Okay.
And it was his payment for a lifetime of military service.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, the Spanish crown gave it to him. It was the first land grant given in California.
Right.
And unfortunately, the poor man died 2 years later. So
Let that be a lesson to you, okay?
So his sons and his family enjoyed the property.
Yeah. So this was a second home. They raised some cattle here.
Yes, right.
They put up a summer home, basically.
They basically put up a summer home, and his son, Ignacio, was the one who built all of it, but in different stages. And so this first portion of it was built starting in 1853. Then they built that building, which is only connected by a veranda to the rest of the building.
Oh, I see. Yes, that building stands alone, doesn't it?
Exactly. It stands alone, and it is one of the few remaining standalone kitchens, servants' quarters, laundry room remaining in California.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and so they built that probably around 1860. The ranch hands ate on the veranda there. Yeah. There was large kitchens the kitchens occupied 2 rooms. Okay. And then a very small area for sleeping for the servants indoors. Most people slept out of doors. Right. They just slept out of doors.
So you had your kitchen over here, you had your sleeping quarters over here. And then what is this middle section here? This
middle section was added 20 years later in the 1870s. Okay. The family had decided to leave Los Angeles and make this their permanent residence.
Good thinking.
And so they needed more space. And they built a number of bedrooms and a dining room, and that's that whole wing there. Something interesting during the building of that is they had 1 month right in the middle of building it. 1 month of solid rain where it never stopped raining.
Wow.
And the adobe got so wet that of course they couldn't continue building, and it was 2 years before they could go back to building because
Really?
it took that long to dry out.
Really? Wow.
So.
Wow. And you told me now this road here, that this road.
This
that we're on,
road is
this was the original entrance, right?
Yeah, this road, which is just part of the driveway now, but it originally went all the way to the highway and was the original entrance to the rancho, and is something that we're going to be reconstructing. And
Okay.
you know, we'll be removing several barriers that's
Right.
in the way here, but we'll be restoring this original entrance to the rancho.
So this was like the driveway coming in, and then the house faced the driveway, obviously.
Well, yeah, the driveway curves around the house and goes to what we call the south porch, and that was the main entrance. That's the front door, so to speak, to the house.
Okay, so our let's say our carriage pulls up.
Carriage pulls up
right here.
The family or the visitors get out, they walk into there, that's the entrance hall, they take off their muddy boots, they hang up their cloaks, their hats, and we'll take you in there in a little bit.
And you said this is the front entrance, and this is the one that's most photographed, right?
Yes.
The orange crates and that?
This view of the house. It was in both copyrighted fruit packing labels that we have. The first one copyrighted in 1900, and the second one is not dated, so we don't know.
Now, what is this room behind me? You told me about this room over
This room behind me, in the story of Ramona, this is Ramona's bedroom.
Okay, we should mention a lady named Helen Hunt Jackson
Yes.
came out here for a brief visit.
One afternoon when nobody was home. I mean, a couple of daughters were home, but the family was not home. She stayed for a couple of hours, and she must have just mentally photographed the place. Because then in the first half of her book, The Story of Ramona, it's just exactly this layout. You know, the setting is this ranch. And so in the book, that's Ramona's room, and that's the window where her lover, Alessandro, was slept outside while she was being incarcerated inside the room.
Now, I haven't read the book. Can you just give us a brief?
Well, Ramona falls in love, a high-class girl falls in love with a no-class Indian and produces just horrendous social ostracization. And basically it's a tragedy. You know, she is forced to leave the Rancho Camulos and leave the protection of the family. She goes off with Alessandro, and it's a story of all the bad things that were being done to the Indians at that time by the white man.
This novel basically caused a bit of a social upheaval and became so popular.
It was wildly popular. It was the great American novel for 2 generations. And that novel romanticized California as a place to live, romanticized the rancho lifestyle, and it just grabbed a hold of the collective imagination of the United States and just brought people to California in droves to live here. So beyond the gold rush, the story of Ramona is credited with bringing population to California. And in fact, Southern Pacific Railroad gave Rancho Camulos their own depot, not for economic purposes, not for taking produce to market, but simply to allow the tourists to get off and come see Rancho Camulos. And so you'd have these people getting off the train going, "Where's Ramona?" You know, and then go barging into people's bedrooms going, "Where's Ramona?" Of course, Ramona was a fictional character.
Right. But the novel was so wildly popular
that she lived in their minds.
And they had to come out and see where
she lived.
And they expected to see Ramona here.
Right.
You should have hired a Ramona. And put her out there
well,
in charge
they
of the
did.
mission.
And the funny thing is this poor family, they weren't here when Helen Hunt Jackson was here. They knew nothing about her writing the book. All of a sudden, they just had these hordes descending upon them.
That wouldn't happen today. I got to tell you, boy, we'd have all sorts of releases signed on this
Yes,
puppy.
I know.
That's amazing. And then, of course...
it changed their lives. It changed their lives forever.
Well, it put this place on the map like other ranchos have not been put on the map, obviously.
Right.
But also, movies were made here, because I know...
There were 3 Hollywood movies made early on.
Mary Pickford was here.
Mary Pickford.
And they filmed them on site, right?
Yes.
So have you seen any of the movies?
No, I haven't No, I have seen one. Yes, I've seen one.
I was just curious. I mean, it'd be interesting to see.
One of those old movies, black and whites, you know.
But I mean, scenes of this place, movie scenes taken of this place, what, around 1915 to 1925, etc.?
Right around in there.
That would be great for the archives, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. Well, should we go inside now?
Let's go into the entrance hall, because there's a small little story I'll tell about the entrance hall in here. This is the entrance hall from the south porch, and this is where people would come in and warm themselves by the fire, take off their muddy boots, hang up their cloaks and hats and stuff. But I want to tell the story about this chandelier here.
Okay.
Now bear in mind, my grandparents came from the East Coast. They're more or less New York and Boston raised and bred and everything. When they bought the ranch, they inherited from the Del Valle family a wonderful man named Carl, and he was a blacksmith. And he had made all of the wrought iron work that you'll see throughout the house here, plus a lot that you won't see that we will be restoring. But anyway, he made this chandelier for my grandmother for one of her birthdays. And it was so big that, you know, it's very intricate. He had to bring it through the door, and it was too big to fit through the door, so he had to take it apart and reassemble it in here. And then there was this grand presentation to my grandmother, and she hated it. So what do you do? But there it is, you know, and what, you couldn't say anything, so there it is. We live with it today, and it's wonderful. I think it's just wonderful. So I'm glad it's here.
It's great. It's great. All right, so you came in here and you went, where'd you go from here when you came in?
Usually went out to the veranda because that's where most of the life, the daily life went on. Very little daily life went on inside the rooms.
Okay. Right, this is the, what do they call this, a portico or the porch, the part of the house that was that joined the other two parts of the house, right?
Yeah.
And it's loaded with bedrooms?
Bedrooms going off of each one of these doors. It was just a rabbit warren of rooms, none of which were connected to each other. You had to come out onto the veranda here to go in the next door. Something that we want to restore around each of these doors is some fabulous wrought iron work of rose vines, climbing roses, going up and around each door.
On these walls here?
On these walls,
okay.
Around each door, with roses in bloom, and then each holding holders for different colored of ceramic pots going down. And so we have that, and we're going to restore it. So this will look really beautiful.
Now,
But
as long as we're in here, let's talk about some of the damage. This is damage done from the '94 earthquake, right?
94 earthquake, all of it.
And it's
all the damage you'll see here. The damage goes all the way through the adobe walls. In some places, it's real critical to the stability of the entire building. That corner in particular, right there.
Yeah.
But
structurally speaking, is the building sound?
Relatively, yes. It has been shored and braced so that it is sound at this time. And when we go and restore the building, which will start in June of '97, they're going to drill every 12 inches vertically down through the length of the wall and install a steel rod.
Oh.
And then they're going to strap horizontally about 3 feet from the top of the building and then another from the ground. Strap it horizontally. Now, this will not stop the adobe from cracking in another earthquake, but it will stop the building from falling down.
Right. So first you make the structure sound.
Right.
The adobe, of course, is just it's adobe.
It's just dirt. It's just garden dirt that's been wet and formed and then dried.
Right.
There's a little bit of straw in it, but not much. It's just the dirt that the plants are growing in out here.
Right. So that's something that can be replaced and replaced and replaced over the years, and it stays authentic.
Yes,
basically.
exactly.
Doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Currently, we have funding to do the earthquake retrofit for the building, rebuild the adobe, and put on the exterior plaster. We do not have money to do the interior plastering.
Okay.
So that's the extent of the money that we've raised.
How about the wood that's in the structure already? Is it sound? I mean,
it's sound, yeah, and we'll probably, in a few cases, when it fell out entirely, it'll be replaced with new wood, but otherwise, we're not replacing the wood.
So this is going to be an ongoing project. This is not something that's going to happen very
I am looking at the rest of my life here.
Yeah. So, but it's certainly well worthwhile. Worthwhile. Let's take a look inside one of the bedrooms, just to get an idea.
Well, this was a bedroom a room during the Del Valle times. Our family uses it as a TV room, but it has a story coming from the Del Valle period that I think is just charming. It's my favorite story. The Del Valle family was constantly trying to make money because their lifestyle was very high and they were supporting all these people and entertaining lavishly anybody who came along. They were very, very hospitable people. But one of the Del Valle women, to make a little extra money, would go out every morning and pick all the rose petals from hundreds of rose bushes on the property. And she'd come in here and just dump them. And at the end of a year, there'd be about 2 feet, 2.5 feet of compressed rose petals filling the whole room. And then there'd come a merchant from Bulgaria with his mule train and his burlap sacks, and he'd sack it all up and take it off to Bulgaria, where they would extract the attar of roses, which is the rose oil, and it's worth more per ounce than gold.
Oh my.
Now, so she had a nice little business going, but 100 years later, I walk in here, what was it, 2 winters ago when we had such a wet winter, miracle March after the end of the drought, and the adobe walls were exposed to the weather and everything. And I walked in here and there was such a strong fragrance of roses. A little musty perhaps, but nevertheless roses.
Rose oil.
And I thought, where's it coming from? And it was just coming from the ground, from the floor and from the walls.
Right.
It had just permeated the building itself. And that's when my mom and I decided that, well, we just had to restore the rose bushes around here. So.
Okay. So this was the original kitchen. It's obviously a garage now, but this was the original kitchen that Ignacio cooked in, I guess.
Right.
Huh?
Well, he didn't cook in it, but his servants did.
Yeah.
Our family didn't even realize that it was the kitchen until after the earthquake. Still, just recently, when the adobe felt out of the flue of the fireplace here. But this particular room used to be 2 rooms, and this big heavy beam that goes across here was the top of the wall. On the other side of that wall was the laundry room. This was part of the kitchen. You went through that door there, which has since been walled in on the other side, to a larger kitchen and then a small servants' quarters there. The servants and the ranch hands all came and ate here on the veranda outside here. So this building was built probably just a few years after the first part of the building was built in the late, probably about 1860.
Okay.
Late 1850s.
This tree we're standing under, how big is it, and when did you plant it?
Well, we didn't plant it. The tree is at least 150 years old. We've got photographs dating from before the turn of the century that shows the tree showing up over the top of the house from the other side of the house, so we know it was at least 50 years old.
Wow.
This is an eagle black walnut. It covers about 1/3 of an acre, and we think that it's the second largest tree in terms of coverage in the state. There's that fig tree in Santa Barbara that's a few feet wider. The first 60 to 80 years of its growth is all vertical growth, and then from then on it's all horizontal growth, and so you see these posts
Right.
supporting the limbs
Right.
that have to be there. I mean, I don't think the tree could hold those limbs up without these
Obviously
posts.
the limbs would be on the ground then, wouldn't they?
Right,
Yes.
right.
Who put the posts in?
The Del Valles at first, and then the Rubels have continued it. And just last year, we replaced and put in 12 new posts. So it's an ongoing thing, and that's another reason why we keep chopping it back. I mean, you know, when my mother and her sister had a double wedding in 1955, and they had almost 1,000 guests at that wedding, and they were all located underneath this tree with tables and chairs. So the reception was held under this tree. It's very large.
All right, so we're in front of the schoolhouse now, and the little pond here. When was the schoolhouse built?
It was built in 1930 by my grandfather. Built as a place for his children to be educated. So my mother and her 2 sisters and one brother went through elementary grades here. They had a live-in teacher, fabulous person.
Just them, though. It was private.
It was them and a couple of the ranch kids.
Okay.
You know, it's a full schoolhouse. It has blackboards. It has a stage. They did stage productions. It's
Their
really
own
quite
version of Ramona, I'm sure.
Well, that's how we're going to be using it in the future, I have a feeling.
Good,
you know?
good.
But this pond here, they built with their own hands when they were about 8, 9 years old. They came out here as a school project and built this. It was dry most of my life, and then when the earthquake happened and we came back on the ranch, my brother has restored it to where at least holds water.
And
at least a few fish in here. And so it's a nice setting. This tree here is an American elm, and when it's leafed out, you feel like you're sitting under a Tiffany lamp.
Really?
It's just gorgeous place, and so.
Now, when did they stop using this school then?
Well, they stopped using it when my mother and her sister went off to boarding school on the East Coast, and those were the war years. And so it has been used, but not as a schoolhouse since then. People have actually lived in it, and we'll be using it in the future as a lecture hall, a community event center, you know, different things like that. Right now, it's storing some of the.
School here,
no,
though,
I never did.
No.
Now we're just using it as a storage place. So.
All right, we are sitting in front of the Ramona Chapel. Tell us a little bit. When was this built here?
It was built in the 1860s by the Del Valle family. Isabel Del Valle was the wife of Antonio Del Valle, and she was a very religious person in a good sense, and she was the one who invited the Padres to come and stay here. They had a room and board agreement with the family here. This was one day's journey from the mission in San Fernando, and you know, as you know, they usually built a mission.
Right.
One day's journey from the mission to the south, and so this should have been a location to the mission, but because the Del Valle family was already here, already had this house, and were so hospitable, they decided to just have the room and board agreement and conduct services here every time they went through. So this was built in the 1860s. It was originally just this building here. The veranda was added later on. The contents of the chapel are original from the 19th century, and they were artifacts and relics and things that were brought from the San Fernando mission when it was secularized. And it was given to the Del Valle family as a trust. When we bought the ranch, the Del Valle family said, "We'll leave the chapel with you, we'll leave the contents with you, but if you ever sell the ranch, we want them back." So of course we'll never sell the ranch, but everything in there is exactly what was there. Nothing has been added or taken away other than things that were irreparably broken during the earthquake. So you have the original, I think there's 14 Stations of the Cross, and altar with the figures. And
Have you had services here lately?
it is still in the Catholic diocese. We haven't had services lately, but people do keep coming to us asking to be married here.
Oh.
So in the future, that's probably how we'll be using it. We don't have facilities to handle a crowd like bathrooms, so until we do, we can't open it up to the public. But there is a good deal of public interest in that.
Well,
The porch was added later as a place for the ranch hands. They had services twice a day, in the morning and the evening. They sat on benches. They were across the veranda here, and they would sit outside while the family sat inside. And the bells out here would call them to services. And that's it. From my understanding, this is the last chapel, totally authentic chapel of its kind left anywhere. There's another one at Rancho Guajome and down near San Diego that has been rebuilt and restored, but this is the only one completely, basically untouched, unchanged.
nice place to worship, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Ann, I want to thank you very much. This has been terrific.
It's been a pleasure.
Coming out to Rancho Camulos. Camulos, yes, and walking around and seeing this place. If people wanted to come here and visit, or, I mean, I know you have plans and hopes and aspirations to fix it up and open it up to the public, how can people learn more about this place, or can they come out and see it here?
They can come out and see it on an individual basis. I was trying to open it up to tour groups, but the museum board, because we don't have certain things in place, such as public restrooms and parking lots and adequate insurance and things like this, I cannot handle big groups. I can handle individuals or a very small handful of people. I am the only person available to give tours, and I am busy running this ranch. So I really don't have all that much time, plus the fact that in just a month's time, there's going to be chain link fence put up around the buildings that are going to be rebuilt and restored. And so there's going to be construction crews in here, and for the next year or so, it's going to be difficult.
So work is starting very soon?
Work is starting supposedly in June. It's supposed to go out to bid right now. Work is supposed to start in June, and the projected time period is between 6 and 12 months.
And this is going to be a museum, right?
It is already a museum, but we just haven't been able to totally open it up to the public yet. We want to.
Okay.
We want to have civic groups here. We want to have visiting, people from all over the United States want to come here. It is now on the National Register of Historical Places with the highest designation. And so it is a very historically important place, and we desperately want people to come. Mm-hmm. We can't handle them all at the moment. We can't handle crowds. And so small groups, individuals who can call us up and schedule an appointment, I'd be happy to oblige.
Okay. We're really lucky here in the Santa Clarita Valley to have such a fine example of what rancho life was like. Come out and visit the Rancho Camulos sometime. Until next time, I'm Philip Scorza, and this has been Points of Interest.